Marketing is a means to an end. And the end is the growth of the business in a profitable way.
We have 5 new pieces of creative. And so I said, what if we did this?
No bidding strategy is going to cure a bad business model.
Very true. This is where it's really crazy. Man, I love that.
I love that.
Such a catchy tune.
Really,
I just want that as like my life soundtrack when I enter a room, it just starts playing.
I think, we're actually going to be at the same conference in San Diego. I say you should have a walk-up song, and that should be it.
Oh, that's right. When is that exactly?
I don't know. It's at the end of September in San Diego. That's all I know. I'm into it.
I know I'm being like the UK, like from the 16th to the 18th, and I got to fly back and then go to San Diego. And yeah, it's crazy.
Oh my God, that's too funny. At the end of that conference, I have to fly to the UK from San Diego.
That's so weird. Well, that'd be fun.
It will be. It will be.
Right.
We'll be talking probably more about this stuff. We were actually just talking about this on the pre-records. Like, can we talk about the same stuff over and over again? And I say, yes, we can, because I still don't see anybody talking about this. And I just got another email from our partner manager about this conference, this agency conference, and they don't mention any of this.
No, I think we've grown to where it's like the delta between what we're working on and what's like normal is just growing. And now we're in like never land.
Yeah, but you're still learning best practices to a certain degree. It's not like it's all the same, or maybe it is all the same. Maybe that's like the bottom line here, is that the Andromeda update has happened. There is a new way of looking at how to run meta ads. Obviously, the CAPI imports on both Meta and Google are working extraordinarily well. Mm-hmm. And we just keep showing it. That's it. I mean, if marketing is this simple, I guess, right. Simple air quoting, that's a good thing for all of us.
No, it's actually it's getting kind of it's almost like cheating. It's
I know.
A cheat sheet here. It's like, oh, we don't have to figure anything out. We don't need extensive third-party analytics just to learn. We don't have to have, a different way of viewing things to retrain the algorithm. And that's why I kind of think I guess that'll be the theme for today. Is it's almost like pixel / tag training. When we boil it down to the really simple effect that this has, is what I've noticed, whether it's launched on its own, like Andromeda campaign is launched on its own in an account, or it's launched in addition to or in tandem with previous campaign structures that were on the pre-Andromeda update model, so the old style.
Yeah, that
is something that we've learned how we have to pause all the other campaigns, launch Andromeda, and then what happens. And I had this one campaign we launched a week ago, less than a week ago. It was actually on the 31st, so we're looking at 6 days ago. And we launched the campaign. We increased the ad spend by $2K, and I think the client kind of hopped in and shut it off almost immediately. And he's like, "Oh, look at the CP is way too high. We're just gonna be
way too high."
Yeah, exactly.
Get out of my ad account first off, but secondly,
well, it's kind of funny because it was there's always gonna be wait a minute, this is another marketing team. I'm on my 17th marketing team in my life.
Right.
How are they also going to need my guidance? So our industry has unfortunately trained our clients to be like, I don't trust you. And so when we're
they're not really paying attention, if they don't see anything, if they know how to look in a change log, they're like, well, John isn't in there manipulating stuff. It's like, well, John set it up and now is waiting.
Right. Or it's like this one here for fun. I'm just going to clone this view because this is my case study that we're going to be looking at today. But I'm going to clone the view to a little bit time before. So let's go back in time here. I'm just going to use this, not compare this time period. This is the Andromeda campaign. And this, when I say Andromeda campaign, I don't mean Andromeda campaign. I mean, this is the one that's using the Andromeda recommended structure for the algorithm that we're currently in. So this is the current campaign. I should say this is the old style. You got your ABOs, your CBOs.
This is actually good. So this is my job, is to remind you that we haven't gone through this as much. It's how to transition over. And I see a couple of questions to this regard about CAPI imports and in general, but if somebody, this is their first show and haven't been watching us for quite some time, a lot of these videos are getting like thousands of views now. So, which is really cool. The point is there are probably some people, this is their first time ever watching what we're talking about here. So it's okay for us to sort of reiterate it, but also if they understand, all right, this is a new way to set up your campaigns, using content diversification, using one campaign, one ad set, and up to 50 ads. Like, how do you transition from the old way of doing it to test this out, or at least figure out, all right, now I'm going to go down this path that I learned from these crazy YouTube videos for these two guys that come on every Friday.
Right.
So, like, that is a question that I think we get every single week. And I know that's things that I see, like we have a Telegram group for like 500 agency owners. They're all asking these types of questions. So I don't think we can reiterate that enough, because people are a little bit afraid to try it for the first time. How do I actually transition it over? Because you've got a level of comfort now, having spent, I'm assuming it's like $6, $7, $8 million on this thing.
Yeah, and 10 months of it.
In 10 months, and that's a long period of time. So
yeah, I think I've been probably using the Andromeda kind of even before Andromeda was like even. I know I was before it was notified, but I think I was on Andromeda when like our account was launched on Andromeda. Like for some reason, I just hit the nail on the head when we moved 15 campaigns down to 1 and everything just started scaling like insane. I'm like, whoa. And then all of a sudden later on, it was like, we want you to consolidate. I'm like, that's exactly what I was doing. So I end up just being like the right place at the right time by myself. So it was just kind of funny. But
well, the harder you work, the luckier you get, though.
That's true. That's very true. So here's what's
so if we could answer that question, because I know that's going to be things that people are going to be like, well, this all sounds good, but how do I do it now after spending, so much and having so much experience in so many different areas? And we're not just talking about e-com here. We've talked about like lead gen. We've talked about service-based businesses. We've got the service-based businesses that we're doing this right now on tiny little budgets. And it's really starting to kick in and increase the lead quality and ultimately the customer count. So it's like there's a lot of different scenarios on how you leverage all this. And I don't think we can talk about it enough, because this is the future.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And I think like it's and this is like a perfect little use case. So it was interesting is I had this is a client that we're transitioning into the updated model that we're on now with Andromeda. Yep. And I'm using, first click CAPI imports just because that's how I like to retrain the pixel into, oh, that's what's new actually coming from Meta rather than what is attributed by Meta. Big difference there. Yep. And we had a campaign that was
telling Meta to go find new customers with actual real new customer data. That's the key to this whole thing. So anyway, keep going.
Yeah. And so what we had a campaign that was launched on the 29th on that Friday. And so you see me in here at, basically 5:30 a.m. in the morning, $9 to like $800 per day, pending process to active, launched here at 5:36. And then after that was active.
So when you went to bed, or that when you woke up?
I that's kind of at my, it could be one or it could be the other. I'm not sure.
I'm not really sure. I don't really remember that day. Yeah. Hoping it's in like a different time zone, like, the time zone of the ad account where you are.
I know it wasn't, because I actually have it next morning when we're talking. So that's probably about right. So this campaign went live here.
Seems like, yeah.
It's this campaign, basically everything was built out. And then this campaign was launched here at 5:36 a.m. We went active, and then like that was on the 29th. And then we have it 1, 2, 3 days later. Someone comes in who's the owner and says, hey, and pauses it at midnight on the 12/18. I wake up the next morning and was paused active, got a text and says, hey, looks like the new Andromeda campaign is just kind of like hemorrhaging some cash. I went ahead and paused it.
Yeah.
All right. Now
you slept in that day, though. It's 10:43 a.m.
What's funny?
Yeah, right.
That one, I was like, I wake up, I'm like, and so I'm like, I have to like go through like, my morning calls, a couple of them, and then I have to go investigate, and I had to shoot them a Loom video, and then the Loom video was seen, and then we agreed to kind of turn it back on, but we ended up reducing it down because while it was working, and we'll show how, we were like going after new so hard that we were eating into the myrrh, and I was like, well, we'll talk about the decisions like we'll get your opinion on the audience's opinion. So it's kind of fun, but
I love
Here's
this case study, by the
it's
way.
beautiful.
This
It's
is
beautiful.
perfect. This is
Yeah.
perfect. This is the typical response. It's like, oh my God, everything's going to
Exactly.
shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, you know, the poor client woke up and saw 118, 58, 70, and my campaign at 362. It's like, John, what are you doing?
What are you doing? You're killing me.
Exactly. Jesus, man. All right. So watch this. This is what's interesting is I've taken a time period between when it was basically launched on like kind of the 29th. I'm trying to get a little bit of a time period in between, because this is actually what's really cool is what you'll notice is the campaign spent $2,800 total for between the first 1,400 on the 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, and the second 1,400 on the 31st, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Yep.
Now, in between these time periods is when it was paused. So we're basically looking at a perfect, 1,400, 1,400. So we have about 8 days worth of activity. You can see that the before and after is exactly the same spend, 1.79. Reason why is things were turned on, but also readjusted. So we basically spent about the same amount of money during this time period. Now, the client looks and says, okay, so you spent 1,400, you got a 350. And then the next 4 days you spend 1,450. So you went up a little bit in spend by like $43, but then your cost per purchase went up by $10. So you went from 351 to 362. This just isn't working. Look at these campaigns. Just ignore this trib. This is actually this is a campaign that's just sending traffic to Dick's Sporting Goods because our procs are there. So we just ignore that one out of your mind. It has nothing to even do with our website. It's just clicks to Dick's Sporting Goods.
Yep.
Exactly. Yep. So we have to have that. But actually, oh no, I don't want all tools. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to filter by active. There we go. So it looks like this says, hey, your campaign is getting worse. This campaign got 12% better. This campaign got 56% better. This campaign got 35% better. And they're all spending the same. So your campaign, yeah, I would agree. If you look at this saying, these are spending about the same rate as this in terms of increase and decreases. These are getting way better. That's getting worse. And I like these a lot more than that. Yeah, sure. That would be a fair assessment. That is what's interesting is the owner looking at the media buyer metrics and not the owner's business. And so that's kind of the thought process we have to change here is the owner shouldn't dive into media buying metrics. The owner should be looking at his business.
Yeah.
So what I did is I redirected the owner's attention away from the media buying metrics over to the business and then correlated it with media buying data. So watch this. If we look at the campaign here,
by the way,
what's that?
Instead of looking at metrics that don't matter, looking at metrics that actually matter.
But it's brand new to a lot of business owners. They've been trained to kind of, go after the media buyer because we have to make sure that that person's looking at the metrics and making the right decisions. 100%. So it's definitely, I can see the mentality shift here is very difficult.
Oh God. Yeah. We've both been in this situation hundreds of times. Probably,
exactly.
So anyway,
exactly.
Typical.
So, yep. So we have 4 new customers this day and 4 new customers that day. Now, one thing that I noticed though, is this campaign here went from spending 3,500 to 3,600. So same spend. Mm-hmm. And the CPA went from 109 down to 70. Okay, that's kind of interesting. And so our purchases went up by 62%. Now, this is what I love being able to filter between new and returning is this one here had 32 sales, and it shows 28 new for returning 32. Okay, that makes sense. Now watch the ratio of 28 and 4 go to 48 and 3.
Ooh,
that's kind of interesting.
Okay.
And then we go to this one. This one went from 3 new and 6 returning.
Yeah.
To 11 new and 6 returning.
Right.
Okay. So now it's going after more cold.
Okay.
Then this one went from 4 new and 4 returning to 6 new and 1 returning.
Well, all does not seem as it appears.
So then I said, well, if we spent the same, we're basically $126 difference. What's our back end metrics? So we look at the date range of the 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th, these 4 days, which are this period here. Right. And we had 74 new customers in Shopify. And then we said, okay, well, let's look at the next period, 831 to 903. And that is here, 831 to 903 as 115. Ooh, interesting. So now what we're looking at is if we're pulling out the calculator, the handy dandy notebook, as Blue's Clues likes to say, 115 minus 74 is 41. So we have 41 new customers, and all we did was simply just rechange the structure. and we only spent $126. So it's almost like the restructuring of 126 and 41, 126 divided by 41. Oops, 126 divided by 41, not times. Basically a $3.07 incremental NCAC by changing the model. So $126 increased, and we're buying new customers at basically $3 new customer. That's the effect of it. Now, the reasons why, though, is because as we start to introduce a sizable amount of new cold traffic into the website, what Meta has stated, and the reason why they want consolidation, is because and this is coming right from the Meta engineer, the new customer purchase doesn't have the seniority that the purchases do.
Right.
And when the creative, which is actually not the same, the creative is actually different in each one of these campaigns.
Okay.
And what ends up happening is a new user comes to the site, and if NC purchase has very little data because it only has 8 sales total, is not confident that they can get a new customer, it will release them from its targeting and then allows the other campaigns to go after them. Why? Because those campaigns say, I bet you I can close them. I close everybody here. So essentially is whatever campaign has the better performing metric in terms of just the results column, not what's counted in the results, but basically the results column for a purchase event, that will take seniority and will also take, in the hierarchy of seniority, that's the one that wins. So while we have one campaign focus on new, the other campaigns are remarketing to them. And that's why we see a lot of traffic come in new, but then every single thing else, all of a sudden, spending no difference in spend, but getting 137 to 62% more sales. And some of them were even 50-50 between new and returning customers. Now they're all skewed towards new.
Yeah.
So if we're looking at even just the top line metrics, what we have to look at is from the dashboard here as an example, this time period versus the previous time period, which is when we're counting new customers, we have 21% more gross sales. Good. We have a 42% reduction in the return customer rate. Good. Our orders, well, not fulfilled, that doesn't matter. Our orders are up 34%. Our sales over time, which is basically just our total sales, is up 46%. And we can see, yes, Facebook up 100% and Instagram up 58%. The social marketing is up 137%. Google, we didn't make any change. It's actually down 8%. So we know that this is isolated to just the changes that we're making inside of Meta.
Makes a lot of sense.
The average order value is up 6%, and the sessions over time are the same. They are the same. We didn't spend anything different inside of Meta. We simply just updated the model to Andromeda.
Yeah.
And so we have the same amount of people, but our conversion rate went up 56%.
Can I ask you a question? The new Andromeda campaigns, did you just take budget from the previous campaigns? Like, I think it's 920 or 827 prior to that point in time. It was all sort of the same, or was the Andromeda campaign, was that added spend?
This was actually incremental. It was added spend.
Okay, it was.
So, So if we look at the date range here, this was 29th. And if we look at the 29th to this date range here compared to the previous period, we've increased it 21% to 181. So this was down. I did steal a little bit from there to push into there, but we did have $2,200 in more spend. Okay. So if we're looking at the 29th to the 4th.
So 22% increase, but a radical increase in new customer count is really what we're seeing here.
We pulled it out of here, of this date range back there, and we pushed it into the new model here. So basically what we're looking at is the before, and remember we were launching it here, and then the after. Now we do have a little bit of a seasonality trend during the week, but we were experiencing lower lows here and now higher highs here.
Were they doing like a Labor Day sale or anything like that? And any other factors that would act?
No, and that was actually what we launched this on purpose, because it was all new creative. These are just 5 pieces of creative that were all August 8th, 11th, 6th, like they were named here, and then we're able to use them once they were available to us. Okay. So they said, hey, I would love to be able to get this new creative and let's push it live. I said, I'm not going to put new creative in an account without NC. So we got NC added, and then we started to push because they've been, we had the same exact experience every single time. And so where I was just launching, a new campaign, but nothing was actually happening. And so after we started to move into this Andromeda campaign, we noticed that we do the same date range here of when we were halfway through our test for previous test here. Wait, let me do this. August 20. Let me go back.
I mean, I have to assume as you're doing
There we
this,
go.
the other one, the ASC's ABO, are all like bottom of funnel, like buy this kind of creative, not our content diversification type of creative. I'm assuming.
No, this is this campaign here of broad all products catalog is just DPA.
Okay.
Very, very, very
bottom of funnel,
Very
which
bottom of the
totally
funnel.
makes sense.
And that's one of the reasons why this thing used to get the 4 new and 4 returning, and then went to 6 new, 1 returning.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think about it in a funnel, which is what Andromeda mentioned, if you use DPA, it will go very bottom of the funnel.
Right.
That is what was happening before. So it was basically just saying I can get 4 new and 4 returning. Okay, great. But you'd have to take your CPA and double it as your NCAC. So you're talking about $265. So because you would have to take 134, which is counting the 4, returning a 4 new, cut in half, or double it. Where that is just, if you're looking at, well, how much is spent a new customer only? 4 and 4. If you look at only 4, you have to double the CPA. Yeah. So that was already at 268. And so it was funny is he was getting a 268, but then he saw 260 NCAC. He's like, it's like, no, it's just, I'll share with you what I mean. But then the other campaign here, this one did have the other creatives, but you can tell because nothing was actually going through new customer only at the time. This thing had 6 meta purchases on also DPA.
Yeah. Right.
But again, when we look back in this time, this 6 here had 2 new, 5 returning. Why? DPA goes warm yet again. Now, 100%. When we started to inject, it's almost like feeder. When we started to inject all this new user acquisition into the site. Remember the cloud I talk about when a whole bunch of new users are coming into the cloud. This thing says, well, are anybody ready to buy? Yeah, they are. Well, now you can increase this by 216% in sales and go from 5 returning and 1 new to 11 new and 6 returning. It's still bottom of the funnel. They're just new customers because we have new traffic coming in.
Yeah.
So this campaign can literally just go from $980 to adds $31, but that $31 all of a sudden increases your sales by 216%. No, it doesn't happen.
Right.
And if you run a sale or if you're doing like discounts, everything, you typically see your returning customers increase, not new. Absolutely. So we weren't running a sale. We were just injecting it with a bunch of more good new cold traffic. Then this campaign.
Which one was that one again? You did it so fast.
Sorry. This one was the broad pro form. That one is the one that we're looking at that had a lot of DPA, pro form DPA. And then this one here is ASC plus CBO broad gloves campaign. And then this one, if we just look at spend, sorry, let me just kill the comparison and do descending and spend. There we go. This one had, now can I do the comparison again? Will that actually mess this thing up? Oh, good. There we go.
You can do it. Oh,
and then this thing here is the same effect. So we have basically even amount of spend, 4% difference. Yeah. But these things are just dropping CPAs down 15, 21, 80, and they're just skyrocketing in like 1 to 6. Well, where did this one go? This one went from 1 new customer to 6 new customers. Excellent. This one went from 1 new customer to 5 new customers. Excellent. This one here went from a 15 and 2 to a 25 and 3. Like every single campaign and every single ad in this entire account just started getting a whole bunch of new.
Getting NCs.
Right. And remember what's the attribution model that Meta uses? Last click.
Or view through.
Yeah, exactly. View through. Yeah, one last click and view through, and sometimes last view.
Yeah,
and so it's exactly right. So we're seeing that we do have a lot more 7-day click than 1-day view, except for when you're using just the broad campaign. That one has more, but not in relationship to what a 7-day click is. So it's 9,
which would make sense. These are people that might be probably buying anyway and aren't going to be clicking on your ad. Maybe they're going to buy from an email or a Google search or whatever it happens to be, or some other modality. Yeah,
exactly. Or like when you have a whole bunch of new coming in here and these things start to remarket it, and last click, because these are taking priority and last click is what shows you spend here, but everything else, it's the same thing as like our feeder strategy. It's standard shopping increases, and then performance max that retargets just says, I'll take everything. And when these are all running broad, there is no targeting anyway, but it's not trying to necessarily remarket. So that's one of
This
the
is
reasons.
basically meta feeder strategy, which you're doing here, because you're in transition between the old way and the new way.
Yeah. Yeah. And all we did was start a new campaign that showed literally the same exact 4 and 4 as it always did. But the 4 new customer purchases and 4 new customer purchases when we're looking at the compare period, which there we go, 4 and 4, which is 4 new, 1 returning, and then 4 new, 1 returning. It's literally the same exact metric, but everything else started to get better. So when we're looking at the total, everything on top line, same sessions, conversion rate up 56%. This is selling everything. We know that the Facebook is getting much better. Meta, combined Facebook and Instagram is up on both. All we did was just launch the new campaign. And so as soon as we went through it, I said, hey, actually your NCAC globally is down 22%. It goes, okay, that sounds good. I understand. Let's try to be a little bit less aggressive. The reason why I launched that campaign at such a high, like $800 per day spend, is we were actually going into the September budget. And it's like, hey, for September, I want to spend this. So I just took that new amount of spend, divided it by 30.4, and set that thing at our daily budget was like $800 a day. What's funny is in the first 3 or 4 days, our NCAC dropped by 22%, even with throwing that $2,000 into there, like immediately.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
What was interesting is because when we're looking at our 74 to 115, that was the 3rd day of the first 4 days is like, that's when it started. Yep. And so it was interesting to see like an immense amount of cash injection. And then the in-platform CPA of a different metric was higher than the original metric. But here's one last thing I'd love to share with you that I thought was actually really funny is if we look at this one here, like this campaign, let's isolate this campaign here. So if we look at this and filter to selected rows, and we go into the before period, which was the 27th to the 30th, and we go and look at the $1,000 in spend, right? So watch this, 1081 divided by how many new customers did we have? We had 3. So we had divided by 3. That was a $360 NCAC in this campaign before Andromeda started to bring in a whole bunch of new users, 360. Now, when we look at the next 4 days here, this campaign here, which is, come on, baby. This campaign here, let's just isolate it to this campaign. Look at what my NCAC is. 362. So the week before, the campaign that the client liked was getting a $360 NCAC, and he was very happy with that. He just didn't know it. He didn't know that there was a 360 NCAC. He thought it was this campaign here. No, I'm sorry, this campaign here. He thought that this campaign was getting a nice $58 CPA. When you look at only the new customers, he was spending 1,081, which was like this one here. It was just on a different date range. But long story short, he was spending $1,000, was getting an actual 360 NCAC. Didn't know it. This campaign launches and gets a $362 NCAC, $2 higher than the other campaign, and he pauses it. Because just taking the metric for a face value.
Yeah.
So as he's spending on 360, everything's fine because the combined CPA is at $100 is good enough. The new campaign that only counts the new gets a 360, and that's cause for panic.
So it's too bad here that like you have to do all this manually, but it's like I remember the day when you would go into actually Facebook and it would give you the blended CPA, which we now call obviously NCAC or CAC, because that's really the number. It's like the number in the Andromeda campaign doesn't look great. However, your DPAs are just gobbling all of that up, because I have a lot of questions for you here, because you've always stated in all the other case studies that we've talked about here is that when there's a click in the Andromeda campaign, they stay within that campaign. But this one is not, because it's going over to the DPAs, but you don't have that bottom of funnel creative in the Andromeda campaign, or you do?
Remember, it won't shift. It won't jump between other campaigns if the conversion event is the same.
That's right. Okay. That because this is just purchases and not purchase NC,
different
the reason
objective.
why.
It can go after.
Got it.
Yes, which is also why consolidation. Are you using purchase event? You have to consolidate. Are you using new customer purchase event? You have to consolidate. You can't have new customer event and standard purchase event. You have old model, new model, existing targeting, existing aggressiveness, new users. So we have to think about it differently. And that's what's great is that's been the rule since we started teaching this was always if the conversion event's the same, they will not jump between them, which is why my little test of the 90-10 split with the same conversion event didn't work because it was like it worked good on the 10%. Then when it transferred into the 90, it failed. Why? Those were two different audiences.
Right.
So they were split. So that's
super interesting. Okay. Yeah. I think that's like a teaching point right there. Cause we have mentioned that in the past, but I mean, this is a great example of a camp or a ad account that's in transition.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a great ongoing case study for this channel here for everybody who comes in and watches it and listens and everything else. Point is like, what is I know we want to get to questions, obviously, is what are you going to do next? Because it seems to me, it's kind of clear like what you got to do, but you also have to train the client to start thinking in an Andromeda world, which is sometimes the hardest part. Because I have a feeling your recommendation is going to be eventually maybe pause some of these campaigns or pull those ads into the Andromeda campaign, or maybe I'm just getting ahead of myself here.
No, you're exactly right. The next thing I'm going to be proposing is taking literally all of the creative from all campaigns, obviously except for Trib,
right,
and placing them into the Andromeda campaign, and also not using any DPA, like no DPA.
Okay.
Yep.
Not part of the content diversification strategy, but they are very good. Why wouldn't you just keep like one DPA going, like just for old time's sake?
I know. And you know what? I had that same thought. I did that same thing. And here's what I found.
Okay.
All right. So if we look at
many people have felt that way, but here's what we found.
I know. It's funny is I've tested every which way, shape, and form I possibly can on almost like everything that I possibly can at the same time. And what I found is this here. If I start descending by amount spent, and this is since July, you'll see there's my DPA here. So we're looking at 14,000 in spend and 30,000 in spend.
Mark loves his DPAs, doesn't he?
That's right. Well, and you know what's funny is I was like, I'm going to test it because my theory is can we get a whole bunch of people who are coming to the site? Can I just scoop through all of these people and blast through them? And what we found is that by using the proper creative, this is a face to camera / founder story / a UGC. I mean, this is like an everything in one. It's a text offer. We got one offer, one pain point, one hook. So we loaded up and said, let the games begin, whatever one wins.
Good job.
Yep. And so this one here is getting $215 new customers at 140. This was getting a 351 new customer cost at 41.
Yep.
And what was interesting about this is when you look at the splits, this is 140 new and 37 returning. So 140 and 37, a delta of 103, where it's pretty good.
Not
this
purchase NC, because I see a different number for purchase NC in there. Is that embedded in the AOS new customer purchase?
So this is without FBID or FBCID.
Oh, okay.
This one is imported without the actual first click. It's when it can be matched. So this one says, hey, this gets super technical, but it means as soon as we had a purchase event happen, the CAPI fired without FBID or without FBCID, without the first click, and then was sent over to Meta. And then Meta was able to match them, but mostly just by a one-day view. Because if you send Meta 10 and say, was this you? Meta says all 10 of them were me. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. So it was starting to over attribute. And that was a time period where we're dragging this thing out. So these things are being reduced down. I have actually another case study there, but that was, I'll share that with you here. But this one has the AOS. This is actually a first click new customer. And that's why this one can be physically attributed to this campaign confirmed by Meta. These here are just like, I don't know, probably came here. It's kind of like the AI enhances like, that reason. So we have to look at the 140 here. And then we can also look at the purchases of 433. We can do that as well. So we have 140, 433. This one here had 41, 160. So this website purchases is 4 times higher than this metric here. This 4 times higher. If we look at 140 times 4, 140 times 4 would be 560, which means this one here, the delta between 140, this isn't 560. These are the returning customers. These are the new of the returning customers. Oh, sorry. This is a total amalgamation of all customers. These are new versus all.
Got it.
So if you take 140, multiply it by 4, you get 560. You do not get 560 here. Because this metric is lower, it means that more of the website purchases are new. Because you have 140 of 443 versus 41 of 160. 25% are new versus all. And this is like a 33% of all purchases are new. So you actually get a higher split of new versus returning. And you have, but this one is also going extremely bottom of the funnel. And my thought was going way too hard on too new traffic. So it's like, hey, I'm Mark. Check out, this is, my 2-pound block of lobster. And the next thing I see is like, want to buy the lobster, want to buy the lobster, want to buy the lobster, want to buy the lobster. It's like, you got to kind of back off. It's, I just learned about you. Yeah. So after I shut this one off, this one
actually ready to get married yet.
Yeah, exactly. This one became a lot more effective. And now that was 215 last week. It's down now to 190 and I don't need DPA. So I have tested it. It goes way too aggressive, still way too warm, still spends my company ad spend on, a higher degree of warm, 75% existing users, even though it's only counting 25% of the cold traffic. It can't grow cold. Why? Meta says it can't. Meta says, you want to know who's going to be taking advantage of the product that they're ready to buy right now? Not cold traffic. It's your existing customers or who's on the website now. So it was like too aggressive.
Too aggressive. Too soon. Yeah.
Too aggressive in its remarketing. And I'm not going to be able to basically maintain, 1/5 of my budget on just heavy remarketing. We don't need to. Right. So you can test DPA.
One touch or one ad type in the content diversification strategy. It's not you will get some customers, of course, but very small percentage. You need all those other ones that are sort of in the middle there to sort of soften people up and to get them like, what's their pain point? What's their hot button? All of that. And then the DPA could later on be used to close the sale. But if you put it in the same campaign, it blows it all apart. It doesn't do what we want it to do, which is to naturally sort of ascend people through the funnel or descend them through the funnel, depending on which way you want to look at it, ultimately to a purchase. And a DPA speeds that up too fast, too much, too soon is kind of what you're saying.
Exactly. And here's what we're testing in another campaign. This one is not old enough yet for me to build the case study on. So it's only been live since the 12th. Okay. But watch this. This is what we're actually testing as well. This is both NC purchase. So they're going after the same thing. And what we're trying to do is spend 12,000, 11,000 here. This one is new customer only. This one, we've asked it with a signal to retarget the new customers, but exclude our existing purchasers. So we'll see how this happens. This campaign here is running all non-DPA. This campaign here has DPA and is getting all of the sales. See how it's just ignoring everything else? Yeah. When you put a DPA campaign in, or when you do DPA ad in an ad set, just say goodbye to everything else.
Just blows it away. Yeah,
exactly.
So the bottom of the funnel. And if you don't know what a DPA ad, it's a dynamic product ad. You upload your feed. It's typically used in e-commerce. And whenever somebody either clicks on an ad that's similar to that product, a dynamic ad dynamically shows that product and or other types of products, other categories of products that are very similar to it, because it's very bottom of funnel. It assumes just because you got to click before you're ready to purchase, which isn't always the case.
Yeah. And this is actually kind of a cool little trick hacks, kind of thing is if I'm spending 12 and let's just say 12 and 12, okay, we're about even.
Yep.
This is getting a 276 and 96. And this has got DPA. This is no DPA. Now, these two combined, we're still massaging it. Yeah. But the theory there is, can I bring a heavy 43 out of the, 45 of the 43 purchases were new.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's because this is using missing or partial data, likely due to industry. It's like, we don't know. That number 2 just says, here's what we think.
Yeah.
But then this one here has actually got 115 new, but still got 62 repeat purchases.
That's an example right there of Meta just modeling data, by the way.
Exactly.
Like they don't really know. That's the reason why all this stuff works. Anyway, keep going.
We call it Meta's dartboard of conversion tracking.
What is AI, John? Come on. It's exact.
Right. Screw your bank account. Let me tell you what happened.
Yeah.
So this one here, though, is like locked in. It has 45 new, 2 repeat because there's no DPA. This one has 115 new and 62 returning. It's much more warmer because of DPA. But we figured if we can pump in a whole bunch of new cold traffic and then beat them up with DPA, we can come out with $146 CPA. Now, could we have done that with one campaign? I don't know. Maybe we're testing. Can we suggest some targeting? And what we're doing is when we suggested to just remarket the new customers and ignore all of our existing customers, Meta gives us the big old middle finger and still gives like 40% of our sales is returning. So whatever.
Yeah.
So
you are optimizing for the same event in both of those campaigns, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do is we're trying to see like, can they jump and can they split, or can we combine total, make this a little bit easier? The realistic reason why we did this is because DPA for these people, this particular client and this particular use case, they really, really, really wanted it. And we're like, well, we can't shove it in a prospecting campaign. Bottom of the funnel and prospecting is an oxymoron. So that's why we're using it, but we're like, well, maybe we'll just set off to the side. And it's a conversion beast. It really is, but it's outpacing the conversions in the other campaign, especially on returning. So you can use DPA, but that is just your little warm traffic existing customer or anybody that's ready to buy, ever ready to buy. So we're just going to scale the prospecting campaign and see if the DPA campaign gets better efficiency. That will tell us we're on the right track.
Yeah. This is like, you said, well, we're just going to be showing the same stuff today. I'm like, no, we did not. We have never talked about dynamic product ads and how they fit into this whole thing. I think that's fascinating at itself, because I'm like, oh, well, pump them in there, like put them in there. But no, unless they're maybe in a secondary campaign. So we can be talking about that for weeks to come. All these little tests inside the big test, you know?
And that
there's a lot more stuff you're cooking in the kitchen there, Tom, than you give yourself credit for.
Yeah. So this is our basically is our custom audience that we're asking to go after, which is like retargeting all 180-day visitors, retarget all add to cart, the Instagram engagers, the Facebook engagers, the shop people, the Klaviyo list of the active users, the Shopify audience for retargeting boost. And then we're excluding all of our purchasers and all of our Shopify purchasers. So basically what we're asking is like, we gave it a custom audience and it just said, I know you want me to not go after your existing customers. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that because I like doing that. But we're trying to see is, Now the bad part is we're only spending like 11 grand a month. And you could absolutely get brand new first click, first time new customers with DPA. Absolutely. That happens all the time. It's not like DPA is only for remarketing. It's just not going to be scalable, which is why we're trying to separate them out.
Oh, Diraj, I didn't even realize he's asked what a DPA is. So hopefully now he knows.
Yeah, dynamic product ads.
Dynamic product ads.
Think of it like dynamic remarketing, or here's what products we think you should see.
Yeah, I mean, I always think
carousel
like it's like a carousel that just keeps going on, and it's a brilliant ad type. Like I remember when they came out, we were like, oh my god, this is so great.
Shopping in feed.
Oh yeah, and we would just do we would have level 1 through 5 campaigns, and then this would be in our level 5 or our level 4 if they were like add to cart and then they abandon, which most of the time they do. They were great for that because it's like, oh, you really wanted this? Well, let me show you this. You like the red shoes? Well, how about the red shoes with the bow on it instead?
Exactly.
Or let's show you the red shoes again. Have you left this in your cart? It's time to come back.
Yeah, think of it like dynamic product remarketing and PMAX, basically the same thing.
Yeah,
it's very, very similar.
Basically, yeah. All right. Well, let's get to some questions here. We don't have a ton of time, but John Moran's dog is in the house. He's been waiting for like an hour. He was here at like 3:15. I can't such dedication. My main challenge is getting clients to move beyond ROAS and the platform and instead focus on broader KPIs such as incremental sales, NCAC, net profit, and net margin. And then the secondary, it's e-com. What's the best strategy to optimize budget allocation between Google and Meta to maximize results? Or should this be test and evaluate? I guess this is really 2 questions here. So
yeah, well, this right here, it's exactly my main challenge is getting the clients to move past me on ROAS. I just shared an example of the client hopping in 3 days later and saying nope and killing it because of ROAS or CPA. And
hold your ground, I guess, is the or get them to watch this channel. Yeah, seriously. If you want to meddle and take time into like spending in my ad account, go watch this video. Like this is going to be up live. It's going to get thousands of views. So why not?
Exactly. My suggestion is show how it's correlated to their business growth.
Yeah.
Now, if you show the correlation, it's also bad, then okay. But theoretically, if you're following the channel and following what we're showing, it should get better. But unfortunately, that's your job as the strategist. You have to show how you're growing their company.
Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah.
Download the MPI checklist, by the way. Get that over at tier11.com/MPI. All right. So the other part to John, wait a second. Did I not show it? Ecom, what's the best strategy to optimize budget allocation between Google and Meta to maximize results? And how should this be tested and evaluated?
It's MMM modeling, unfortunately. Yeah. So what you're seeing us do here is basically MMM modeling, which is I'm looking at spend benchmarked in platform metrics to see if they go up or down. And as I increase or decrease spend, and I look at what those benchmarks are doing, if they're moving in the right or wrong direction, then I see how is that actually affecting the business in a better or worse sense. So we're basically just looking at the metrics and saying, okay, if I spent more and the metrics look like they held, did things get better? Or it looks like it did worse. Did things get better? It looks like it got better. Did things get worse? You're trying to find the reasons why Google and Meta are saying that things are good, and you're trying to say, I don't believe you. Let me prove it. And if you can find out that it is true, perfect. And if you find out that it's wrong, that's what you're looking at is you're explaining the differences. So a certain point in time of attribution does not mean that that is how the entire business is doing in terms of health. So that's just what you have to understand is, ACPA is one channel, one time on one user and one path. That is not total business growth. Just understand the differences between those.
It's not correlative. It's related, but it's not correlative. I like
it's a building block.
It's a building block. It's just one metric. Diraj Shetty has this question too. Can you make a tutorial on how to set up CAPI imports?
It's not a setting or anything. It's a service. Unfortunately, it's a paid service that is hooked up to large data centers on IVP4. I mean, it's like it's proprietary essentially.
Yeah. Well, there is Tier 11 Data Suite.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. We wouldn't be able to show you how Tier 11 Data Suite's built, but yeah.
You have to spend $500,000 on it anyway.
Right.
What we did. Diraj, another question. Do you want to maintain the overall ROAS on long term, and what metrics do you look to make changes in your ads if your performance drops?
Well, it's going to be what the goal is of the client. Like if you say the client hired me to do X, Y, and Z, well, is ROAS the way to measure that? If he's like, hey, I want to grow my business. Like, okay, does that mean you want one new customer every 10 years? Do you want like 50 tomorrow? Like, you're going to have different metrics. So the goal dictates what metrics you watch. You don't watch the metrics to try to achieve the goal. I guess I would say you have to think about a reverse. Like if I need to get to that goal, what metrics are appropriate to that goal? Sales volume, probably more MER and NCAC. But if it's like a flash sale, yeah, you could do ROAS, but again, you're looking at ROAS is just MER in platform. So I would say MER, but again, it just depends. Even returning customers, ROAS high on returning customers could be excellent. ROAS high on first-time customers, I would say, are probably misattributed returning customers. So again, it depends upon the goal. Overall ROAS, I want that thing to be flat, maybe sometimes a little lower. If I want to grow new customers, I need ROAS to be down. I need to go colder.
So that's the takeaway here. It's like if you're doing client work here, you need to find out what's your goal. Like, where do you want to be a year from now? Where do you want to be a quarter from now? When we do our quarterly business review, or if it's your business, it's the same sort of thing. Like I'm 5 million right now. I want to get to 10 million next year. Well, that means you need to get X amount of customers, do the math backwards, figure out what works. We've done so many shows on NCAC, figure all of that out. But it starts with the goal. All of these are just metrics to achieve the goal. That's what marketing basically is. So, John Moran's dog's back with another question. When lowering TROAS to scale, how do you ensure it actually drives incremental traffic and revenue rather than just higher CPCs on existing traffic?
Top line. I mean, everything that we've shown here. Yep.
There you go. How can we accurately measure the brand impact of upper funnel campaigns like YouTube separate from lower funnel performance activity and determine the best way to evaluate their effectiveness? I know you've hinted at this in previous shows, but do you have anything new on this?
One of the best ways is actually going into the Google Search Console, looking at the time period of when you started to today, essentially. And if you're running things like a YouTube sequence campaign, then you're going to see brand lift. If you're running things like YouTube demand gen, you may not really see brand lift because they're going after a convertible audience, not really necessarily people who are trying to find out about you. So YouTube is going to have about 6 different campaigns. Also, you have a demand gen. So you have like bumper ads, you have CTV, you have, there's in feed, there's in platform, or there's in stream, and then there's shorts. So YouTube is going to be, depending upon, again, your goal, you want to choose the proper YouTube campaign, and then to measure it is something that I actually typically like MER the best. And if it's, let's just say for brand impact, for brand, I mean, you're not trying to get a specific, goal. Like if you're saying have YouTube sell these dirty napkins here, like, okay, how many dirty napkins do we sell? 10. We added $1,000. How many dirty napkins do we sell? Hopefully it's 20. If it's still 10, that 1,000 didn't do anything. So basically, if you're looking at a product or service, I would say the amount of ad spend you're spending to try to achieve a higher amount of that product or that service, if you add in that ad spend, look right back at that product or that service and say, what did we sell more of? It's a very, very simplistic way. If you're like, well, we have 1,000 SKUs, and if you have 1,000 SKUs, you're going to need about $15,000 to $25,000 per day, at least to start. If you want to brand lift thousands of SKUs of a company, that's where you go into the Google Search Console and say, are people going to Google and typing in my brand name? And you measure it by impressions. Now, where they clicked. Clicks can be branded clicks or organic clicks, but the impressions, are more people going to Google globally every 2 to 3 months or every quarter and Googling our name? Are impressions of our brand name increasing? There's brand lift.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Georgie Velkov says, hey, John, huge fan of you from Bulgaria. Georgie.
Hey.
My friend. All right. I'm running a new e-commerce store in Bulgaria selling electric callus removers, and we are running Meta and the new setup. One campaign, one ad set. It's not working well right now. $40 per day budget. What should I do?
I have the same launch. I know this is going to sound really stupid, but if you're not using first click CAPI imports, what Meta will do is basically say, is there anybody on the site right now that I can convert? That's where it first goes. Lower spends means more remarketing, way more traffic with lower spends. What you want to do, and I know this is going to sound like a broken record, but I just launched this new campaign on about not really that low a budget, but fairly low budget. And here's what we want to see is, if I can share screen real quick. Yes. This was a brand new campaign launch. Andromeda here. This one went live. If we look at the charts, I mean, it went live. Amount spent was the first. So I have to look at the first through the fourth and say, okay, what are we achieving so far? We spent $500, have 56. And so when we're looking at our charts, this thing is going from the 0, 1, 5, 3, like good. And we're spending, more. So we're starting off slow, waiting for a confirmed new customer, increasing budget, waiting for a confirmed new customer, increased budget. If yours is showing 0, I would have to say, is it tracking correctly? Is it first click CAPI imports to train it quickly? Is it something that has the content diversification? Do you have founder stories, featured benefits? I mean, you have to have a metric crap ton of content. I actually have a thread with this gentleman that said, I'm not launching it until we have everything in there. He agreed. And now we launch with 29 ads. We have interviews, we have UGC, we have testimonials, we have us versus them, we have product demos. If you're not saying like, yep, I got 30 Andromeda modeled pieces of creative and first click CAPI imports, if you're doing that and it's still not working, there's an issue there. But I have a feeling there might be 1 or 2 of those missing, and we're teaching the proper way to do things. Each time I've said, let's try it anyway, always fails every time.
€40 a day is tough though.
We started with 50 pounds a day, but still, it was still working. But
you still got some data on it. So,
Georgie, what I have to ask you is, do you have the Andromeda structure of creative diversification? That'd be the first thing I'd have to ask. And if the answer is no, that's the step you have to work on.
Yeah, big time. All right. eSupernova. Hi, John. Any update on demand gen feeder strategy? Greetings from Morocco. I didn't realize eSupernova was from there.
So I tested the feeder strategy a little bit, and then first click CAPI imports is just taking off with demand gen right now. And it's actually, I'll have a case study next week if it's confirmed, but we had demand gen launching while Meta was scaling. Then Meta all of a sudden pulled back and demand gen kept going. I'm like, but we're only got 3 days where demand gen kept going. I need to go through the time lag. So I will share that result next week. But right now I'm only 3 to 4 days in of my confirmed test. And if I get another week of it, we're nailed it. So I'll be able to share that next week. We'll talk about demand gen next week. That's perfect topic.
Cool. Manique Gulati has 2 questions here. If everything goes into one campaign, do you also pull avatars and pain points inside the same CBO, same ad set? Ooh.
Oh, yeah. So you want to look at your pain point, hook, and offer. You want to have variations of each one of those for the creative diversification. And then you want to have the diversification of those variations. Do you have an image? Do you have a video? You have a slideshow? And then you have to make 5 iterations of the winners every week. That's the new stuff that just came out. So maybe we can even do an Andromeda creative slideshow day. And we'll teach people how Andromeda wants to create a diversification that we're using with this company called Venera that is just scaling perfectly to move with $50 new customers on $300 products daily.
Perfect.
It's beautiful.
Yes, we are doing there's our Black Friday, Cyber Monday. It's not just for beauty brands, by the way. So many to definitely check that out. Tier11.com/BFCM. That's tomorrow.
Yeah.
10 a.m. Pacific with Lauren Schwartz, the GOAT of all creative. Really will help you out on Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Anybody who's listening to this or watching this. So Jordy is using the CAPI Shopify. Okay, that's the reason why.
Mm-hmm.
And we have 6 creative types that you were showing, so that's good. And store is very new. We don't have returning customers. Okay, so
we have 6 of the creative types you're showing. Okay, so you have 6 creatives.
6 of the creative types, I believe, is what he's saying here. So,
well, there's only like 8. So that should be there.
Yeah.
Using CAPI Shopify. Yes. So CAPI Shopify is very, very, very poor, my opinion. CAPI Shopify that's an area where Shopify is just gonna lose everything, in my opinion. CAPI,
however, it's a brand new store, though. Does he necessarily need it? Because any purchase is going to be a new purchase, correct?
Well, the CAPI is only going to be delivered in case the attribution side of Shopify says it came from Facebook.
Right.
Remember how Get Me and Lobster was making 1,000 new customers in text messaging? So CAPI would have said, hey, Meta, you didn't do anything. So that's the one thing that I have a really big issue with that is, and I'll share a screen just really quickly, because I know we all have to go.
Got a hard stop here.
Yeah, we both have a hard stop. You know what? I'm just gonna go into that one company here. But right now, if we go into
John just can't help himself from helping.
I know
you're such a good guy.
Wait a minute, hold on. I'm in the wrong area. I don't know why it's not pulling up for me, which is very, very, very strange. Oh, there we go. So if we look here and we just go like the last 365 days, right now, direct has my second best channel. So I have 472 people that just arrived there out of the 1,000 that Google did. And we run Facebook more than anything else, and that is 256. So if that 256 is being eaten up, and if you look at especially first click, and we run way more Meta, this is a case study. So we have 323 out of all of these. And Instagram unknown, CAPI wouldn't send it. Facebook unknown, those 251, CAPI wouldn't send it. The 600 new customers of direct, CAPI won't send it. So when Shopify matches 1 out of about 6 times on average to the original source, then it sends it. So the CAPI import right now is training it on nothing. That's why first click CAPI import from edge tag source matters. Poor Ralph didn't spend $500,000 if you could use the Shopify one.
That's the reason why we did it. Sorry, guys. That's the way it is. And we are at the end. We have to cut this short. Unfortunately, a couple of questions here unanswered. Definitely check us out next week. Same time, same channel, 2:30 Eastern every Friday. Me and John, Ad Lab, cooking up chaos in the conversion kitchen. Meth lab.
Yeah.
All right. Until next week, everybody. Appreciate everybody's questions. We will see you next Friday.
Yep.
See ya.
Everyone.